Ain't nothing but a gangsta party.
Oh shit. You done fucked up now. You done put two of America's most wanted in the same motherfucking place at the same
I wanted on this FBI thing. What's the worst thing that you had seen when you was doing that right there? Because that's some serious stuff that you was involved with then.
We there's 12 of those labs in the country, the FBI, and we would help federal, state, and local law enforcement execute search warrants to get like electronic stuff. Child pornography was the worst. You know, you would get these cases, and then you would, try and analyze the data and stuff, and try and track these people down or actively, exploiting and hurting these kids.
Right.
And then you get all the leads and track them all down. The local agencies or Immigration and Customs does a lot of child pornography because it's interstate and also intercountry. And you would raise these places, and I'll never forget, there was a couple we bust into and find the kids. We busted into one room, and the little boy's standing there with a T-shirt on. I thought, right. I recognize this little man. I recognize that bed. I recognize them pillows, and you just want to go over there and
Right.
snap that guy's neck.
Yeah,
That's a tough nut to swallow there. But
but usually when them guys come in the system, oh, they have it rough. Don't
Right.
think they don't have it rough.
Right.
I mean, they go through things that, even me, I couldn't even bear.
It was, and that's why they had you had to go, they had services available, and they only limit you to 3 years on that unit. So, because it wasn't, we all had top secret security clearances, so we handled everything, items of national interest,
Okay.
like terrorism.
Right.
I'd be working 2 or 3 murders a week for different agencies, and it was amazing.
If you had to change one thing from you as being a police officer and to you now, what would you change to for the better? What would you do different? What would you do different if you had to do one thing different?
Go and be a surgical assistant. My mom wanted me to. I went to college to be a surgical assistant.
Oh, yeah?
I loved medicine. That's why I got started with the city.
Uh-huh.
I ran as a firefighter paramedic.
Okay.
I love medicine. The only thing I miss is running squad. But I miss interacting with the community and stuff.
Right, because you always had somewhere for people to come to talk to you at too. When
Right.
you had that little building down by the train.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was part of that community-oriented policing. You would not believe how much information I would get. People would come to me and say, "Hey, Rob, I trust you, but
Right.
such and such is dealing, or this guy's doing whatever,
How many times they tell on me since we on this conversation?
Oh my gosh, Tom! I'd have to write a notebook, dude.
They was lying. I wasn't.
He was always kind of a drug task force person, You wasn't. I was, I'd do the search warrants and stuff because I was on the SWAT team.
Right.
But you was more of a higher level of player. Does that make? Yeah.
Yeah. I done heard
He
that.
was always the drug task force. Yeah. They always hunted you.
Yeah, they sure did. But they got pretty good after a while. Or I got
So
slower,
what about
they got
you?
faster.
I mean, looking back, and I always believe that we're here for a reason.
Exactly.
We went through what we went through for a reason.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
believe that.
But looking back, how'd you feel about, dealing and stuff in town?
Well, the way I wanted that fast money. I wanted the glory and fame, as I said one other time on another show. I wanted the glory and fame that I had once I was in high school. Once I was running that ball, when I was dunking that ball, running
Right.
that track. It was an adrenaline rush, and I just got so stuck into the fast money, the fast pace of the lifestyle that it just took over. it took over. I mean, 1 minute you're running touchdowns and doing all this, and the next minute you're kicked out of school for a childhood mistake. You know, when I got caught messing around with the white girl, that's when, as I done said before, that's when things changed. You know, I had no self-esteem no more. I lost everything that I loved, you know. So I went into a major depression at that time. You know, people didn't know that, but I was messed up. And I just, you know, just had the worst 2 words in the world. I said, fuck it. And them is the worst 2 words a person can ever say in life. Once you say them 2 words, you're already done made up your mind and the battle's already lost. So that's what happened really with me, and as far as going to the avenues that I went to, because it was I was devastated. And then I had nowhere to turn. I had no father figure. I had no male role model. I had nothing but me and my own thoughts. You know, and that's the worst thing to have as a 17, 18-year-old kid. You know, and then once you get in that frame of mind, nothing else makes no sense. You don't care about nothing but hustling, partying, and just thought you was living life, but all the time it wasn't nothing but slow death. But it felt good getting up out of that world, and it feels good sitting here talking to you and letting everybody know, even though who you was and you know all that, we still can get along. You can still be friends with anybody you want to, regardless of their being an officer or whatever, you know. But you got to get to know that person. Mm-hmm. You know, if I didn't get to know you, we probably wouldn't even be where we are right now, because you know how the view is with the criminals and the cops, and plus the black community and the officers, especially here in Lebanon, because it's so small that everybody knows everybody, and you know, and it feels good to actually talk to you, you know, like we're doing right now, to give everybody else a different understanding, different perspective, you know, because you used to be an officer and now you're a civilian, you don't see the things, you see things differently, you know, and that's the main thing, you know, vision, you know, the vision that you had and the vision that you got. But I want to ask you a question. If you had to bring the people, I heard you say earlier about the community relations and all that. Right. What would you do right now if you had the opportunity to actually bridge the gap? I mean, what in your head, what would you do to bridge the gap between the black community and the police officer here in Lebanon, Ohio? Because you see how far it's divided.
I got to see from your perspective first. You know, what is it like to go to Kroger's?
It's not fun.
You know, yeah. And what is it when the police go by you? Do they slow down, or are they profiling you? Or, hey, there's Tom Payne. Most of these guys probably don't even know who you are.
But you know, I think it might have been part of a seminar or something here. The way they do, you know. But yeah, go ahead.
You know, and that's why. You know, I always tell everybody that's why rear view mirrors are small and the windshield is big, because your future's ahead of you. That's past. That's gone. Right. But you know what? You got to learn. You know, walk in your shoes for a week.
Right.
You know, and see what it's like, and you know, and you try to understand. I mean, I get people that come in, you know, just yesterday, and there was a lady that came in, and she just instantly knew that I was a racist. You know, she was African American, and you know, and I mean, I said, well, I'll have to tell you, I'm sorry you feel that way, but you know, I'm not going to sit there and say I'm not, or so. I mean, you know, we just help her and move on. What do you say?
Yeah, and that's the big thing around here, because a lot of us in the black community, we think that all cops are racist, right? Because of the way that they, you know, if we have a call here, being a black African American, they don't do nothing. You know, I mean, if I call the cops about an issue or something, it never gets resolved. And really all over the country, you know, it's hard for us to trust when y'all don't trust us. Right. You know, it's a two-way street. And I think that we need to find a way, some way or another, to try to bring people together and get a better understanding of each other. Because without understanding, you have nothing.
Yep.
You know, and
You're right. I mean, we've got to, as former law enforcement, I wanted to see what the other side was like, and that's, I'd come down there and hang out. One, it was good tactically because I knew who was what and who was where, But the other thing too is, I said, oh man, he's got real bad. Maybe we could do something for him or something
Right.
like, in policing, in Lebanon, I felt like sometimes it was more social work than, because you get somebody call and they're emotionally disturbed or something, and you find out they've lost their husband or they're getting thrown out of their house or something. You just work around ways, and I've been out of it for 7 years, which seems like forever.
right.
But it's all about understanding each other and working together. It's got to. There's no other way around it. Just like Cincinnati, Dayton, these larger cities. You got to give people something to hope for.
Yeah.
Let's put a factory in, and give people jobs and housing and all this stuff. You can't keep throwing money one way or the other. You're
Right.
defunding or funding it. Guess what? That's not working.
Right. And that, as we talking about the homeless and all that, I know that you see them out there. Yeah.
See,
I mean, wonder why, I want to ask this, wonder why we haven't done anything to try to, help the homeless around here in this town. Even when you was officer, you seen it, so what could be, from your point of view, what could be done to help them? Because,
right.
this town ain't that big, and we got a big old pretty dog shelter out there, but we ain't got no shelter for the homeless. I mean, that don't
Politics.
Really, yeah, okay. Well, you killed that with one word.
Well, that's the major thing.
Right.
Politics. I mean, you look at the federal, state, and local governments. They're all, I feel like they're trying to push their own agenda.
Yeah.
I don't care what you think. I voted for you to represent me.
Right.
What do you want?
Right.
That's a problem. We need to come in here. Let's find a homeless shelter.
Right.
But there's so many dynamics playing out in the homeless and stuff. You have substance abuse, and you have mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And when you try and there's just some people that just don't want help.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's true.
I mean, you gotta, they've got to want to do something first, and you can beat your head against the wall, and until they decide they need it, then.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. I want to ask you, what is your greatest failure, and what did you learn from it?
My greatest failure. Wow.
Yeah. What did you learn from it?
Man, you're busting me up, aren't you?
Yeah, baby, I told you it's your turn, baby. It's your turn.
I don't know. I think sometimes I look back and I wish would have established different programs that would have been self-replicating and staying. There's cases and stuff that I look back and I was just so frustrated with the outcomes, and I just, maybe I should have. You stop and think. I mean, could I've done more? Should I've done more? What if I did this? I mean, it's individual things that kind of haunt me.
Right.
Yeah.
I know how that feels.
Yeah, exactly. And I look back at those and I thought, man, maybe I could have done more, or maybe I should have. My biggest thing was I wish I would have gotten more education.
Mm-hmm.
Now, police, fire, paramedic, SWAT, all that stuff, man, I was a professional student with the city of Lebanon.
Right.
I mean, I took every school that I could go to and I did the hostage negotiations and, all that stuff. But education, and I just wish I would have gotten, bachelor's degree or, master's or something.
What motivates Robb? What motivates Robb White?
I think just I've always, you know, I don't know if it sounds cliche or not, but I've always just been up to helping people, and you know, and not just myself, and helping others. You know, I've always had a drive ever since I was a kid to help others. I don't know what it comes from, like the medicine and stuff. I ran, you know, Life Squad and stuff, but all of my life I've just felt this service to help others. I don't know if that answers your question or
Well,
not.
I mean,
But
you know, I just want to, you know, your motivation. I mean, what keeps Robb going every day, and you know that you got to have a drive, that thing that makes you get out of bed every day.
I always see
that motivation.
things like I can do something better, or I've got pet projects. You know, like I started woodworking. Okay.
Yeah, you are retired, ain't you?
Yeah. Well, I don't have enough time, you know, but I start these projects and I'm thinking, okay, now I started making urns for people who can't afford them.
Okay.
You know, and just these different projects and stuff. And I look at you know, I'm working at the library now, and we're, you know, Julie is fantastic. You know, she's just, when I first hired her, she goes, dream it and do it. I thought, okay,
That's
you know,
what you did.
the chief of police, they've dealt that for 25 years or 30 years. So
You also was a bus driver too. Wasn't you? How did that go?
I
being
retired.
being an ex-cop and driving a bus full of bad kids.
You know, I liked it. I you know, I always liked being around the kids and stuff. It was fun. But I retired July 4th. I sat around for about 6 months, and I thought, man, I got to do something.
Right.
I'd weigh 600 pounds instead of 3, you know, being the dog watching TV and stuff. So I thought, I'll go. So I went and got my CDL and my bus driver license, and started driving the kids, and they all thought I was an undercover cop.
Well,
You know,
look like a cop, always look like a cop.
Yeah. I always say, well, I smell like coffee and donuts or something. And the one girl, she brought me donuts one morning on the bus route.
I bet she was your favorite one.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
Still
man.
a donut man.
Oh, yeah. I never did drink coffee, though.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, but I love my donuts. But that was a lot of fun because you know what? They saw that they were having issues, and my gosh, God bless them bus drivers.
Oh, I could imagine.
Oh, they had one bus driver that these kids traumatized him so bad. He wasn't able to drive on Monday, so they put me in the seat.
Oh, yeah?
And these kids getting on there, I said, whoa, hey, buddy. And they say, Officer White, what are you doing? I said, I'm your school bus driver. Go back, sit down, and we're going to not have any problems, are we? Like Friday, right? He goes,
yeah, I know.
yes, sir.
So why did you want to become a police officer?
You know what? Honestly, I just fell into it. You know what? I running. You know, I was going to college to be a surgical assistant.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the fire department and the life squad. So I was running over there. One of the lieutenants said, "Hey, we're hiring a dispatcher." So I wasn't old enough to carry a gun yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, "Okay, yeah, it was good money and stuff." So I was dispatching, and then they come back to me and said, "Hey, you're 21 now. You want to be why don't you apply for this officer's job?" I thought, I don't know. Well, one thing led to another, and there I sit. My mom was very disappointed when I became a cop.
So she wanted you to.
She wanted me to be in the medical field and stuff. I said, "What heck? I used to run from the cops. Does that qualify me?" Because
Well,
you know, I mean, I was a hood in school.
I know. I didn't even want to go there with you.
Yeah, that's fine. Hey.
I know you. Yeah, you. Yeah, we hung out a couple little times.
You know,
Yeah.
and majority of my friends I hung around with are dead.
Yeah, and that's another crazy thing. I mean,
You know,
a lot of people we went to school with is no longer here.
from alcohol and drug abuse, and you know, by the grace of God, I just kind of went a different path.
Right. Yeah, because no one seen that coming out of you. You know, that was. A
No, they laughed.
Yeah, didn't nobody see Robb White becoming a cop. I mean, 'cause, you know, like you said, you was you wasn't the role model.
No, I'm still not, man. You know, I've never been. I've been a good Lord. You know,
Yeah, but
I
go ahead.
No, I'm not a saint by no means.
Yeah, you know,
nobody is, man.
it was crazy, wasn't it?
You
But
know,
we had fun though.
Yeah,
Yeah, we had fun. We
Yep.
had fun back
you know,
then.
and I just sweated bullets through all those polygraph tests
Oh, yeah.
and all those things, and they grilled you for the FBI. They went back 30 years.
Oh, yeah?
They go back 30 years when you get a security clearance. And they went back to talk to my girlfriends in high school.
Oh, yeah? Hope you didn't break none of their
My
hearts.
neighbors and something. Oh, man, oh.
Probably smelled all kind of stuff coming from you.
Oh my gosh! I tell them, I said, listen, I was a turd when I was a kid. You
Right.
know, I look back at that stuff and you think, that's stupid.
Yeah, if you had to tell a young kid something today to try to change their path, what would it be?
I'd say go to school, get you an education. Well, first of all, find something you love.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about, man.
Yeah.
You know, and just like after I retired, I always told Tony, I said, I never worked a day in my life, and I'm not going to now.
Right.
You know, I loved what I did. You know, whether it's police, fire, or, you know, paramedic and stuff. I mean, there were times I was the acting shift commander on the police department and the acting fire chief across the street. So I'd carry my fire gear in the trunk of my car.
Always ready, huh?
That's pretty-
Always ready.
That's pretty scary, isn't it?
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
But we have a lot of diversity lately, you know, that's going on in our community and everything. What can we do as two individuals to try to bring people together? I mean, you know, what do you think we could do?
Well, I think you're on the right path now.
Yeah.
You know, you and I talking, and it's all about sitting down and laying the cards out on the table. You know, what do you expect from me? And, you know, hey, this is me.
How do
You know?
how do one make that happen though? I mean, because you know everybody's
You know,
not willing to sit down and talk.
I know,
Because some people think they know everything and really don't know nothing.
and they don't want to.
Right. Okay.
You know, that's the thing there. And you always got to have an open mind.
Yeah.
You really do. I mean, it's so hard not to stereotype people.
Right.
You know, when you go to somebody's house and they got a needle stick in their arm, and you know, I mean, it's just hard to. Or you know, the stereotypical fat cop shows up at your house and say, "Oh, this guy's a slug."
Right.
You know, he's worthless or something. You just got to see people. You know, we got to listen.
Right.
We don't listen anymore.
And that's true statement right there.
You know what? We hear to respond. We don't listen. I hear what you're saying, but I'm formulating a response to you.
Right.
It's all about listening. You know, I loved hostage negotiations, crisis negotiations, and I only had 2 people shoot themselves after talking to me.
You got that bored, huh?
Well, that's 1 for 1, though. You know, the one guy, we were able to save him, but the other guy not so well. But just listening. What's really going on? What is really going on in these people's heads?
Why haven't you ran for any of these like city council or anything like that to try to make a difference in something like that?
I'm just not a big fan of politicians,
Right.
and I should. I think everybody should run for an office. I told Tony, I said, I should run for Rob Portman's slot or, you know, county, you know. No, I'd rather run for something that makes, I don't know. I should.
Yeah.
Everybody should.
Right.
Because, you know, nothing's going to change unless you do it.
Exactly.
You know? And nothing's going to, if not me, who? You know, Tony's always, because she always says, man, you know, all this stuff, this politics, I follow, you know, all this stuff, world events and stuff,
Right.
and all these things. And she goes, you need to run for an office or something. I said, well, 2 things, money,
Yeah.
and you know what, I'm just not in that. How can a Robb White run for president of the United States. You know, it's not going to happen unless I'm in that circle, that
Right.
beltway. You know, if I'm not in the group of Republicans or Democrats, you know, I'm not going to be able to get into the state, you know, Senate or something like that. It's just that, you know, it's locked out as common people.
Right. If you had to train a young officer, how would you go about doing that and keeping him in a frame of mind other than us against them? How would you change his mindset to actually help the people and not help the organization, if you know what I'm saying?
Right. You got to think outside the box. You know, policing, and you know, it's all about problem solving. It's my case. It just seemed like it was always, you know, you're a problem solver. You know, we got a guy here that's dealing crack in the community and destroying families and friends and killing people. What are we going to do? You know, how are we going to stop that? Or, you know, we got a homeless, you know, this person is homeless and they're just bugging the crap out of everybody and they're falling in the street. What do?
Right.
Do we arrest them? No, that ain't going to work.
No.
So, you know, let's get them help. Let's send them to Solutions or you know, mental health counseling or something. You've got to think outside the box with stuff. You know, if I only give you a hammer and you have a problem and the only tool you have is a hammer, you're going to hit it with a hammer.
Right.
You know, but you just got to think outside the box. But you know, and I know you're not a big fan of the police and stuff like that, but for the most part, these officers are really good. You know what? They do a lot more good than, you know, bad.
Well, I mean, you know, yeah, and that's where, you know, we don't see eye to eye on that because,
Right.
you know, as you already said, you know,
Well,
my feeling and your feeling, you know, I see a totally different
exactly.
officer than what you see. You know, like I said before, if I get pulled over, I got 5. You get pulled over, you got 1.
Yep.
Then out of that 5, I'm thinking like, oh, which one is him? Out of 5, one of them's going to be him.
Yep.
You know, and you know that's why, you know, on that one, yeah, we don't see.
So you knew I just reeled you in because that's what it's all about.
Right.
I got to understand it from your perspective.
Right.
You know, I've not been in that situation.
Right.
You know, I've never been, you know, in that situation where, you know, you know, I got 6 people here and, you know, I'm scared of them.
Hey everybody, it's Thomas Payne, Prison Promise, OG Tells Redemption. You know, we're going to finish the interview with Robb White next week, so stay tuned and stay informed. Prison Promise is a podcast by Thomas Payne and produced by Dan Lyons. If you want to get a hold of Prison Promise for any situation, you need our help, or you want to just talk to us, hit us up at prison2promise1981@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, Prison to Promise and OG's Tales of Redemption, and subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Spotify. Peace out, y'all.